Well, for more on the explosion of subscription businesses, let's bring in Dean Crutchfield, CEO of the Dean Crutchfield Company. Welcome back to the show.
Good evening, Rachelle. Thanks for having me back.
Now, Dean, you have some subscription models where you rent the items temporarily versus some where you get to keep the items that you buy every month. But how sustainable are these business models?
Well, it's an amazing category right now because it's a game changer and it's exploding. You're talking about you're giving people what they want, how they want it, and when they want it. That's something that retail or traditional car sales can't really do. So there's lots of mileage in this in terms of a concept and a reality that really is changing the game for a lot of businesses.
Now, it's certainly, as you mentioned, a lot of people trying to get into this space. Some entrepreneurs say this is one of the easier ways to really make a profit in e-commerce. But then we also have Blue Apron shares, which tanked after they went public. So explain to us a little bit about the pros and cons of running a business like this.
Well, I think really, first of all, you need to look at what type of business that is. So there's two types. There's the replenishment subscription service, whether it's creams, pet foods, or, shaving goods like $1 Shave Club. And then there's the inspiration subscription service, which typically is around food or fashion. And they're very different in that way because of the actual necessity of what they're providing the customer. So they're different models and they work differently. I think there's a lot more mileage in the replenishment model than the hardship in the more inspirational model with food and fashion. And we've seen that in fashion with Ipsy, which is the largest player in the subscription category. They're down over 30%. And now we see Blue Apron, a 5-year-old company doing really well, does a great IPO at $10, and now it's running over just $3. And the reason why is I think there are certain types of businesses that the model just doesn't work. For me, if I look at Blue Apron, to continue, it's an overpriced grocery item. I mean, you're putting stuff that you can get a grocery in a box and sending it and charging it at a premium. I don't see that as being a very wise business model in the case of Blue Apron.
And to your point, you also have subscription services for things like Oreo cookies now, with them teaming up with Amazon. So do you think we've gone too far with this, or do consumers risk just getting into more debt for things they just don't need?
No, I think, the markets, everything's always up to be busted. You need to bust things. You need to think big and bust things. And that's what this subscription-based services can do. They can really change the business model in so many different categories. But again, it's giving the customer what they want, how they want it, and when they want it. And that's one thing that retailers have not been able to do. Plus, these companies are brilliant at technology. They're fantastic at adopting to mobile, which, as we know, is up to 50% of purchases are a mobile device. And, of course, they listen to customers and can give them what they want based on what they say. I mean, that's pretty unstoppable.
And which parts of the world are most open to this sort of business model?
Well, I think if you look at the States, it's ahead of the game of a lot of other geographies around the world. You've got about, as you say, 40 million people hitting subscription-based services every month. In the US, you've got about 6 million box subscribers. They're the target that everybody wants because they're typically 4 times, 5 times more likely to subscribe to an additional service. So there's a real appetite for it. But the big problem with the industry, by the way, is churn. It's how to retain the customers. It's all well and good. It's a great business model, you might have a good product, but how do you scale it and how do you get your customers to stay? If you look at Blue Apron, every new subscriber does not repeat their purchase in the second week of them joining the business. So it's a really bad churn situation, and by the end of 12 months they might have retained only 20% of that customer base. So it really is a big issue for the firm. It's not about what you sell now, do you have a quality enough product that people are going to buy again? That's the key criteria.
So then looking ahead in terms of what customers want, we know that a lot of these subscription services start with some sort of survey, and it's got some sort of big data or AI element to really try and figure out what customers want. Just how big is big data in really making those predictions?
Well, the important thing about big data is that it might be quantitative in terms of the mass of statistics, but out of it you can find really insightful qualitative insights about the consumer, what they're thinking, what buttons to press, as it were. So that kind of big data can be really fundamental in giving your business the tailor-made solutions that it can give to its customers. And like I said, these businesses love technology. They are technology.
All right, well, thank you so much, as always, Dean Crutchfield, CEO of the Dean Crutchfield Company.